Welcome to the College Audition Podcast with your host, nationally renowned college audition coach, Tim Evanicki.
Hey everybody, Tim Evanicki here with the College Audition, back with another episode of the College Audition Podcast. And today I'm so excited to welcome one of the nicest people that I've met during my time in this industry. This is Miss Stacy Alley from the University of Alabama. She's the head of musical theater there, and we're so excited to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. That's so nice that you said I was one of the nicest people. I'm very happy to be here, Tim. Thank you.
Well, I have to say, with all of my students that go audition for you, they usually say once they've met you, they definitely want to audition for the program or definitely want to go to Alabama. So you're doing something right over there.
That's great to hear.
So before we get into talking about the program and stuff, we want to learn a little bit about you. So if you could give us a bit about your training and background and what led you to higher ed and your position at Alabama.
Okay, well, as you said in the intro, I'm the head of musical theater here at the university. I have been at the University of Alabama since 2010 when I was hired as an assistant professor of musical theater / dance, and now I am an associate professor, and I am just finishing now my 11th year here. I taught at Arkansas State University for 7 years before that, which was the first job straight out of grad school that I was very happy to get, but knew that I was more of a generalist there, and so I really knew that I wanted to eventually be in a job where I was focusing on musical theater, and I am incredibly lucky to be where I am. My family is here. And you know, when you have a family of your own, it's very important to sort of be back where you are. I'm a Southern girl at heart, so I really feel like I'm here for the long haul, and just so you know, incredibly happy to be the head of a program with so many talented, wonderful, driven, passionate students. I got my MFA in acting actually from the University of Alabama. Like I said, my family's here. My dad was in poor health back in the early 2000s, and so I wanted to be close to family. So my husband and I, my new husband at the time, we both, they had good programs here for both of us. You know, there weren't a lot of graduate programs in musical theater, and there still aren't, but especially when I was looking to go to graduate school. And I knew that I wanted to focus on acting. So I got that degree. I got a BA in theater from the University of Southern California, and moved from a small town outside of Birmingham, you know, across the country to USC. I had a great time there. I also have a CMA, or I'm a certified movement analyst from the Laban Bartenieff Institute of Movement Studies in New York. So that was sort of a postgraduate training that I did while I was at Arkansas State, knowing that I kind of wanted to delve more into a movement specialty. So that is, you know, the formal training. And then I've been, you know, in the dance studio since I was 3 years old. I knew my entire life that this was what I was going to do, that I was, you know, I used to say I wanted to be a professional entertainer. That was, I guess, the phrase my mother used. And I actually was doing a show in Birmingham that a guy had written, and Christian Gray, and he happened to be an agent in New York, and told my mom anytime she wanted to bring me to the city, he'd love to represent me. And my mom said, "We'll go for 3 months," and I went, and I did the Christmas, and I got the first show I got cast in was the Christmas. Back then, it was called the Radio City Music Hall Christmas Spectacular, and I did that. That was when I was 11, so I've been working professionally since I was 11. I got my AGVA card at 11 in 1985, and I did that for 5 years until I outgrew the part of Clara. I was the lead dancer in the Nutcracker part of that, and you know, you can only look like you're 12 for so long. So then I just went back to regular school, and you know, so and while I lived in New York for those years, I did some national commercials and things like that. So, you know, I've been doing it for forever, and what got me into teaching, I used to teach dance at the dance studio to supplement the tuition, because it costs a lot of money to take as much dance as I did, and I knew I didn't love teaching children, but I did know that I loved teaching, And I guess it was more in graduate school that I started as part of my assistantship I started to realize that I loved to teach. I've always been a director my whole life. Ask my husband, I'm still a director at home. But yeah, sometimes he's like, you're not in rehearsal, Stacy. But I've always, I love to create. And so it's just kind of a natural extension. So again, I'm so fortunate to have a job that allows me to work professionally in the summers, mostly to direct and choreograph professionally, while also getting to teach and work with young adults who are just to see how they change and grow and discover who they are in 4 years is really is probably the most satisfying part of the job.
So your MFA is in acting, but you have a strong dance background as well. So what classes are you responsible for at school? Do you teach mostly dance? Do you teach acting classes?
I teach mostly dance. I teach all levels of tap, and then I teach musical theater dance styles. One of the levels of that. We're lucky at UA in the fact that we have it's the Department of Theater and Dance, and we have a large dance program that's roughly like 250 students, and then we have around 200 theater students, and of those theater students, 50 are the musical theater students. So I guess we can talk a little bit more about that breakdown in a minute. But the students in our musical theater program take dance from me and also from Professor Alvon Reed, who was hired specifically for musical theater dance. But then they also take some classes from people in our dance faculty. We don't have any adjuncts. We have people specifically hired for the program here. So I teach that, but then I also teach like musical theater careers. Every once in a while I'll teach an advanced jazz class or something like that. But it's mostly dance. And my administrative duties really do take up and my creative activity, those take up a large chunk as well. So I'm not actually teaching as many classes as I was when I was, an assistant professor several years ago. And I just did want to say that the reason that I didn't even look at getting a graduate degree in dance is because, especially 20 years ago, I guess that's 21 years now, most dance programs were contemporary based. And I knew that that's not really what I wanted to do. And so, I had just had the training from being in studios and going to New York and LA in the summers when I was a kid. Was very fortunate that I had a dance teacher who exposed us to so many amazing, art people. So, but yeah, that's what I teach.
Awesome. So you touched on a little bit about the program, but sort of in your own words, describe UA's program. What would bring students to UA as opposed to some of the other programs out there?
Well, we are this is not unique to us, but I think it is a great environment. It is in terms of it's a true college experience. It's a large liberal arts institution, but you get conservatory type training within that program. So anything you could possibly want to do, any interest that you have, you can do it here while also immersing yourself in an intense musical theater training. We are unique in terms of our faculty-student ratio. We have 5 faculty members who are dedicated specifically for the musical theater program, and we only have 50 students. So that ratio is pretty darn good, and that means that your classes specific to musical theater are small. Now your science class that you take as part of your gen ed, that I can't guarantee that's probably going to be large, and no one may even know your name. But when you are studying as part of the curriculum, you are getting some really great one-on-one training. Let's see what else. I mean, and like I said, it's a true college town, so you're going to get that experience. We have students who are in student government, who are in the Greek system, who play intramural sports, who have part-time jobs. I mean, everyone is different. And as long as the person is really dedicated to their studies and what we need in the program and rehearsals and things like that, then, I encourage people to broaden their horizons a little bit and get out there. The more you know about life, and makes you a better human and makes you a better artist. So I really encourage that. We have a BA and a BFA. You get a degree in theater with a musical theater concentration. So we're a little unique in the fact that we still have both of those. And the reason we kept the BA really is because there's an academic scholarship called the Academic Common Market that if you meet the qualifications and you're from Louisiana, Mississippi, or Arkansas, you can get in-state tuition. So we kept it specifically for that, and also because the BA is a little more flexible and you can more easily double major with a BA in something else in musical theater and get out in 4 years. You can still double major even if you're trying to get the BFA, if you're coming in with any AP credits, or you're coming in, or you're willing to take a summer school class. It's just a little more difficult. But the difference in the BA and the BFA is really only 12 credit hours difference. There's a few things that are required of the BFA not of the BA, but one is not better than the other. And I'll tell you, I even have students right now, even though the BFA is a newer program, that I'm not sure which they're pursuing. And I don't care. It really doesn't matter. They're getting the same training. We all know when you go out into the real world, nobody really cares what those letters are. But I think it's good that we still have both options.
That's interesting to hear you say, because a lot of students obviously are under the assumption that a BA is so much more gen ed credits and work. But I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at a larger university, even the BFA kids have probably a few more credit hours of the gen ed stuff that they have to do that some other programs wouldn't. Can you talk, you may not even know, but can you talk a little bit about what the core curriculum gen ed requirements are for BFA students?
Well, I don't have, I just got through with advising. You would think I would have the numbers memorized, but I do know that, so there's 120 total credit hours that a BA has to take, and there's 132 credit hours that the BFA. And so in terms of those gen eds, I don't know the exact amount, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, you have to have, 2 or 6 credit hours. Each class is 3 credit hours, or most of them are. You have to have 2 science classes, and you have to have foreign language, and you have to have, and even part of your theater core curriculum. You're taking 2 semesters of theater history, and then you're also taking musical theater history on top of that. So you're getting a broad range of things, but and you only have to take 1 math class, which and a lot of our students CLEP out of that. You can CLEP out of a lot of those classes, but I mean, an English class is a great class to have. A lot of those humanities classes, and some of our students actually say that they go into a gen ed and they think that they have to take it, and then they really end up liking it and learning a lot and meeting friends that they wouldn't normally know. So I'm a proponent of a liberal arts education. Like I said, I mean, I got both of my degrees are from big schools, USC and Alabama, with like big tradition, and and are big liberal arts institutions. So I
have a lot of students. I have a lot of students that come to me and want to make sure that they're getting the gen eds in there and want to be challenged academically as well, but they also want the BFA. So there's not a lot of the bigger name options out there for them. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So you already said that, it's possible, obviously, as it is with most other larger universities, to minor or even double major with a BFA, which is incredible. What are some popular minors that you think that you see your BFA students taking there?
Well, I'll tell you some popular majors are business. We have several students who pursue a business degree, and there's like an accelerated MBA program that some of our you can stay on like an extra year. Anyway, all of this information, I don't want to misspeak, but all of this information is available on the website. But we have students who come and they know that they're also interested in theater management or maybe interested in the other side of things. So even though we are, we are training our students to go out into a major market and perform, that's not what everybody ends up doing. And that's okay. Success to me is not that you're on Broadway. We've had students who've been on Broadway that have done national tours, that have done all the things. But success is, if we prepare you to wake up and go to the job that you love and make the world a better place, then I think then we've done our job. So we've had people who have done, I have a chemistry double major. I have really smart kids. Now, look, the University of Alabama's academic scholarships are amazing. They're really great. So if you are a smarty pants and you have really good test scores and or your GPA, then look into that. And December 15th is usually the academic scholarship deadline for the University of Alabama. So we do have students who are super, super smart. And then we also, they're all smart, but we also have students who, come in, they do the one major, and they're happy with that. But a few other popular ones are like physical therapy comes to mind.
That makes sense.
Anything that doesn't take away from your time in rehearsal. So, or anything like education doesn't work. Sometimes people say, maybe someday I want to teach in high school, and that doesn't really work because there's internships that you have to do, and there's certain classes that happen at 6 p.m. at night that just conflict with what we're doing. So I've got a few double majors in history, which also makes sense. Minors can really be anything. I've had people in the past double major in dance and musical theater, which is problematic in the fact that you have to, in terms of performance opportunities, those people usually end up headed to one side or the other. So it's doable, especially if someone's like, I want to be in the dance studio all the time and I'm willing to be here for maybe 5 years. Then that can happen. But our dance curriculum is so stringent that it's not necessary to do that. So, you can really, I had a pre-med double major once, with musical theater, but he ended up dropping that and staying in musical theater. And when the pandemic hit, he was on the national tour of Chicago. So he made the right decision. Yeah. Can you imagine? Yeah.
He dropped pre-med to say, okay.
Yeah. And his parents were completely supportive of it, which was amazing. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I can attest to the scholarships for academics there. You've accepted one of my Smarty Pants kids this year, and her out of pocket it was almost unbelievable. I asked her to show me the offer letter so that I could confirm that she wasn't reading it wrong. It was an incredible offer. So that's awesome.
It really
That's
is.
why, again, grades and test scores, your fastest path to the most money. So that's really great.
Yeah. And
you've mentioned a couple.
Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, because this is always asked, our departmental scholarships are not awesome. And, we have a very small pool of funding that is given to us, and it varies from year to year. And we equally divide it among all the areas in theater and dance. And I usually keep them for need-based, and I usually give them to people who have already been here at least a year and proven themselves. And, especially this year, like if a student wrote me and said, my dad lost his job. And so, and I can throw a little bit of money at them, then that's what I like to reserve it for. So I use it a little bit to entice, but the money that I can offer is not going to get a student to the University of Alabama. Students come to us because they want to study there, not because I can throw money at them. So,
right.
Yeah.
You've mentioned already a couple of success stories, students on Broadway and things. Can you share with us any notable faculty or alum that you might want to share?
Well, Michael Loyer has done some incredible things lately. He graduated in 2013, I believe. He was the third Hamilton on Broadway, and has gone on to do... I don't really watch a lot of television, but went on to do a cop show on CBS, and he started off Broadway in Invisible Thread, and then basically just jumped right into into Hamilton and had a really great run there. Nick Rashad Burroughs is one of our fairly recent alums, and since he graduates from our senior showcase, he got Kinky Boots on Broadway, where he was an angel, and then he got to go on. He was the understudy for Lola, and he got to go on for Billy Porter several times. When the pandemic hit, he was in the Tina Turner musical, and he's been in King Kong, and he's been in Something Rotten, national tour, and then we just had a student who was in Carousel. These aren't huge names yet, although Michael Loye, some musical theater nerds would probably know who he is. Norbert Leo Butts is an alum of the MFA program way back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then, our faculty, we don't have any big, huge names that teach for us full time. But we're all working professionally. Seth Panitch is the head of the acting program, which if you're in the musical theater curriculum, you'll be taking, your acting classes from him. He is a playwright, filmmaker in his own right, very charismatic, like kind of superstar academic, an artist. We have, like I said, our dance program. Cornelius Carter was the former head of the dance program. He just retired last year. He is, involved in Alvin Ailey and doing amazing things. So, unlike some other schools, we don't necessarily have, big, huge names that are common household names. But I can assure you, we've all got, we've been working for a long time and constantly are still working because, as we all know, the industry is constantly changing. So we have to keep our finger on the pulse of the industry.
Yeah.
So I'm continuing to study and learn and, like I said, go out there in the world and work. But our students, when times are normal, are out there working, and I really do think that we prepare them not only in the skills, of singing, dancing, and acting, but they're prepared with the career knowledge, and also how to keep themselves physically and mentally and emotionally healthy. We try to really give them the tools to do that before they leave into yet even a more stressful environment than college can be. So we try to keep these 4 years of college are, I know they're stressful, but I'm jealous. I want to go back to school. Although these audition requirements and things, I'm glad I didn't have to go through all that. It's a lot. We ask for a lot.
Right.
And
We'll talk about
what it is.
Yeah, we'll talk about auditions here in a second because you do something a little bit different than most schools do for your audition requirements. So we'll chat about that when we get there. But let's talk a little bit more about the program. Give us an overview of performance opportunities for the students when they're there. Do freshmen perform? Walk us through all of that.
Yes, freshmen are not only encouraged, they're required to audition, and they do sometimes get cast. If it's a big role that comes between a freshman and upperclassman, obviously it's going to go to the upperclassman. But we really want them to become part of the process, and sometimes freshmen will be cast in an understudy role so that they're able to get they're in the rehearsal space, they're in the environment, they're seeing how things work before they move on and they're cast in an actual role. We normally do 7 shows per year, and this year and next year, just due to the pandemic and budget and weird things, we're only doing 5. But 2 of those are musicals, and 1 is usually in our big space, our 350 seat theater, and then 1 is in our smaller black box space. We have a MFA program in directing here at the university, and quite often the MFA directing students, the third years, that's part of their training and their requirements is to direct a musical. So anyway, we do that, but a lot of our musical theater students are in our straight shows. They're in our, they're in Shakespeare, they're in contemporary drama, because they're good actors, and they've auditioned to get into the program, and so they have those opportunities, and I think they're important. There are other opportunities in terms of we have several student directed and led opportunities. We have something called Crimson Stage, which is a student-led organization, faculty-supported, and that's if a student is a composer and is working on a small musical with a fellow classmate, then we want to give them those opportunities to do that, or even stage readings and anything that they want to work on. Alpha Psi Omega is the Theater Honor Society that is, we have one of the largest APO chapters in the U.S., and they do something called Guerrilla Theater every month. That is more of a cabaret type situation, anything that the student would like to present there. They also have student-directed shows. So we want students to be working and creating and being put in sort of, more leadership positions if they aren't cast in a show. We only let our students be in one show. Undergrads can only be in one show per semester so that they, so first of all, so that we can share the wealth, and also so that students can do their homework and go to class and rest and do fun things. Rehearsal's fun, but do things that they need to do just as a human. So, and then we also had Summertide Theater, which is considered a professional opportunity, and it's down in Gulf Shores at the beach, and that's been going on for 16 years now. I have been the artistic director of that since 2016. Actually, I'm directing the Wild Party in Denmark this year. I leave in May. I just got the Danish version and the back translation actually this morning, so I'm a little scared, excited and scared. I usually direct there, and it's a small little theater, and we do the students who are cast in that live at the beach for 5 weeks, and they teach 1 week of camp to the community kids, and then they're doing a show like Smokey Joe's Cafe or The Marvelous Wonderettes, a small show like that. So that's a pretty good gig. They're making a good little chunk of change doing that. Yeah. Most of our students are working in the summers, per usual. The summer's a little different also, but they're usually, we prepare them for, all the auditions, UPTAs and SATC, and some of them just get in a car and go audition at the Muni or Dollywood or whatever it is. So they're on it, and we really help prepare them for all of those various auditions. And now with everything being recorded, we're helping facilitate that as well. So
you mentioned briefly one of your students booked a Broadway show from your showcase. Mm-hmm. Can you talk to us about what you do for your senior showcase?
Yes, we've been doing a senior showcase in New York for the past, it was before I got there in 2010, so probably for the past 14 or 15 years we've been doing this, and we've got casting directors and agents and a group of people who always come, and the last year and this year we're doing it virtually, and we're as a lot of people are doing. Our students just finished filming that. We facilitated that. We worked with the film and communications program, and they came over. They're also actually professionally recording Spring Awakening, the production that I'm currently directing, which we can talk about in a second. We've had really good success from that. We've had a lot of students get representation. We also usually pair that with having master classes while we're there. We've got a huge group of alums. Most of them live in Queens, and it's just everybody goes and sleeps on somebody's floor. So, yes, the virtual way is great, and it's cheaper, and I think that we'll probably always keep that option. But I also think it's kind of a rite of passage, and it's really it's something that our students really look forward to, and we plan on going back to that next year. I think we're going through Actors Connection next year. We've been doing it on our own, and we've been doing it at Theater Row, but I think we're changing, and we're also maybe going to add an Atlanta showcase next year as well. We've talked about expanding that way. Atlanta's very close, and that's one really good thing about where our location is. And when we talked about what's great about the University of Alabama, let's not forget that the weather is awesome. except for the tornadoes. Yeah.
And the flooding. Don't forget the flooding.
Yeah. There's that. But the weather is great, and we're centrally located. There's a really good. I know I'm getting off topic, but there's a really good professional theater company called Red Mountain Theater Company in Birmingham. We have a great community theater here in Tuscaloosa. If someone's like, I got to take summer school and work at Starbucks this summer, I'm just going to do the local production of Grease, which is like great. You're still performing. And then we're 3 hours from the beach, and 4 hours from New Orleans and Atlanta and Nashville. So our students can very easily work and drive to auditions in major cities. We know we're not the national capital of musical theater here in Tuscaloosa, but we are not isolated by any means.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about auditions, because this is what the kids listening probably want to hear about, how they can best prepare for their auditions. So I mentioned earlier that you're not following the pack when it comes to what you're asking for your audition requirements. So tell us what students are asked to prepare for their audition.
Well, we do adhere to the common pre-screen, right? The Paper Mill Playhouse common pre-screen. We are hoping that makes everyone's lives. I was kind of instrumental in helping consulting that several years ago, and hopefully that's making everyone's lives a little bit easier.
Until this year. Last year it was perfect.
Yes.
This year, when everybody wanted their own dance call, my students were going crazy, and I don't blame them, because we're like, you're done. And then, just kidding, you have 34 dance videos to record by the weekend.
Yeah, and guess what? We didn't do that. I can tell.
Yeah.
And I understand why people do. And, again, I think this year we were all kind of like, let's just do our best. And, this year I wanted to have, even though it was virtual, I didn't want to just go off of videos. I really, I can think of 2 or 3 instances where someone did not wow me on a pre-screen video, and then I met them in person, virtually, and they just won us over. And it's sometimes it really, at this point in the game, if you pass the pre-screen, you're talented, you can sing, right? Like it's then it becomes about who are you, and do you can shine through even through the computer screen. And so even though the energy isn't quite the same, it still was really nice to sort of have that connection. And I can tell in 10 seconds in a dance video what your technique is, and if you have the potential, and how many years of training you've had. I mean, I didn't necessarily need to see. I didn't see how well someone picked up a combination, but even then, you're learning from a video. So we decided to not kill the students that way and just go off of the dance pre-screen videos in order to assess their dance score. And then also, what I'm really looking for is which ballet class are you going to be in your freshman year? Are you going to be in ballet 1 or ballet 2, and sometimes ballet 3? So that's really what I needed to know at this point. And then we further assess, because each student's, in terms of the dance curriculum, each student's, path is dependent upon where they come in. Some of them take certain classes together, but if you've had 15 years of dance, you're not going to be in a beginning class when you come here. Okay, so I went off on a tangent. What did you ask me?
That's all right. You're answering questions before I ask them. I love it.
Okay, good.
For your live auditions,
yes,
most are asking for 90 seconds, but you still ask for 16 bars. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I know that people want to get everything perfectly right and please everybody, and I will tell you, yes, I want you to be prepared, and I want you to do your homework, and I want you to be ready. But, we usually ask for 16 bars of 2 contrasting songs and then 2 contrasting monologues. Sometimes we say be prepared with the whole song. Sometimes we'll ask you to sing the entire song. Sometimes we'll cut you off at 8. It just depends. But yeah, that's what we're asking for now. We're not asking for a pop song. I know a lot of schools are doing that. I find that most students don't know how to sing a pop song yet, or at least sing it in an organic way, or in a way that we really would like to see it. So, and that's part of
Would you
the
allow
training here.
would you
Yeah,
allow a pop song
absolutely.
if a student brought one in as one of their two?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see who that person is. So I want someone to sing something that is within their range at 8:00 in the morning or at 8:00 at night. And then if we want to test something, we'll test your range. But don't try to impress us. The way that you're going to impress us is by being yourself and being willing to make some strong choices and take risks, but also by showing us who you are. So I really like it when a student takes themselves, or a prospective student takes the work seriously, but doesn't necessarily take themselves so seriously. And I know that it can be so nerve-wracking. But yeah, I want to see who you are. So, sing something that you can identify with, that you can relate to. Yeah. And I don't care if it's an overdone song. There's those lists of like, don't sing this song. There's, every year there's a few that we get tired of hearing, but if you're can kick butt doing it, I don't care that it's overdone. So
I've said that so many times, even at Broadway auditions, if you're auditioning for Wicked and everyone auditioning for Elphaba is going to sing Defying Gravity, the person that gets it's the one that does it the best.
Exactly.
So if you're the best one, you're going to stand out, and don't pay attention to those do not sing lists. I think those are silly.
Me too.
So I'm glad to hear you say that. How many pre-screens did you guys see this year? Did you see a bump because of everything being virtual?
Yes. I think we all saw a bump. And we also are seeing a bump in terms of on-campus visits right now. So, we make our offers and we make our waitlist offers, and we do ours usually early because our on-campus, I use that with, air quotes right now, but our auditions were in January, and, there's housing deadlines and things like that in February. So that's why we try to make those offers as early as we can. And we usually then now we're seeing a ton of people wanting to come to campus because they didn't get to come before. They didn't come for the audition. So I'm saying that because we had probably 100. Well, we go to CAP auditions, right? So there were 99 people at the college audition project that's usually in Atlanta. So we've gone to that for several years. That is a pre-screen for us. So there were 99 people there for that pre-screen. And then on top of that, we had maybe a couple of hundred. We're not Pace. We don't have or Carnegie Mellon. We don't have thousands of people. Thank goodness. It was a little bit. It was a bump, but it wasn't a huge bump. And then we usually go ahead.
I was gonna say, do you think is it a bigger bump than you saw the previous year? Because I know everyone's growing year over year. I'm just curious to know if some schools say they got a huge bump because everything was virtual. Some say that it stayed the same. Even some people said that it went down a bit. So I'm just curious to know.
It was a little bump. I think we're seeing a little bump every year. This one might be a little bit more than our normal sort of growth. But I will say that I think that we got some pre-screens from people that I think didn't necessarily know that they wanted to do musical theater. I think right now people are like, I need to be in school and I need to, I don't know. I just feel like it was a different crop. But that being said, we had really, really, really talented students. I mean, my wait list of 22 students, I would be thrilled to have any of those kids. I mean, it's not like, oh, I guess I have to go to the wait list. I'm just ready, I'm ready to go. So I just feel like I was impressed, and I was impressed by how the poise that these students had coming into this weird, and we were pretty successful in terms of the technology that we used and all of that, but it was nerve-wracking, and it's nerve-wracking ananyway. I'm just proud of every single person that put themselves out there this year and went for it. Yeah.
Beyond you said a couple hundred pre-screens,
mm-hmm.
How many in person, how many do you pass through your pre-screens?
I would say it's around 40% we invite to campus.
Okay.
Yeah. 40 to 50.
Okay.
It depends on the year. Usually And it was probably this year was a little more. I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, and I do think it was around 50% this year. Usually, I'm not going to invite people to campus that I know are not ready or that wouldn't be right for us. Because it is a lot of time, as you know, it's a lot of time and money and energy in normal years for people to travel and go to these places.
Right.
So this year, I think we were a little more lenient. We were like, nobody has to travel anywhere. What's like a $30 application fee to the University of Alabama or something. So, and we don't even have an application fee, and never have for our actual auditions in the musical theater program. So, because we realize it's pricey to do all of these things. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So how many do you aim for your incoming class?
12 to 15.
12 to 15.
We try to have no more than 50 musical theater students in the 4 years at one time. So again, that's, we've got our 5 musical theater faculty to 50 students. Of course, there's a big faculty of 35 in the Department of Theater and Dance in general. But this year we're gonna accept 17. Like most schools, last year's class was a little small. People were scared, and so we're gonna accept 17 this year.
And you said a couple times when you were talking about inviting for live audition, you said inviting them to campus because you only do your live final auditions on campus. You don't do the unifieds or anything outside of there. Can you talk a little bit about why you make that decision?
Well, we make that decision for several reasons. First of all, we really want people to get to their, put your butt on campus. Like, we really want you to get a feel for it. And we want to, that's the main reason. Also, unifieds are a really horrible time of year for all kinds of things that are happening in our program. And, I've been heavily involved in the Musical Theater Educators Alliance for years. I'm like, the conference is right before then. Also, it's really expensive to go to all of those unifieds. And also it's hard to get in to unifieds. Like, if you've not been in forever, it's a really hard for your school to get in. I know about 5 or 6 years ago, the University of Alabama, Shenandoah, Rider, Texas State. It may have just been us. We rented a studio, in Pearl Studios, and we're just like, we're going to see people too. So we call it the nunifieds or noonifieds, that we kind of created our own little unified audition. And that's the main reason. And I also feel like we're getting really, really talented students without doing that. So,
So why bother? Yeah, I get it.
We talk about it, and we revisit whether or not we should do it every year. But yeah, right now I think we're good. Yeah.
Great. What qualities do you look for in a student coming in? Who's going to catch your eye?
Again, like someone who, knows who they are, or is willing to, to take risk, or to find the humor in something, but also is prepared and takes the work seriously. Someone with like just a spark, I can see in their eye, like, that this is really, really, really what they want to do. And if it's not really, really what they want to do, then they shouldn't be doing it, because, it's a lot of time and effort and money that you're about to put into, into your education. And, I want to see like who you are as a person. And I know that that's what probably we're all saying now, but it's because it's true. And that's becoming, thank goodness, more of the industry standard. Like, we want to see who you are. Obviously, I want to see someone who's talented. And like all schools, we have, people who come in and they've been fortunate enough to work with someone like you, Tim, or, they've taken dance for their whole lives. But there are also people that don't have those opportunities, that can't financially do that. And I love to see a diamond in the rough. I really love that. Most of our students are from out of state, and we try to really do some recruitment so that we're getting some students from the University of Alabama, maybe in schools that aren't necessarily, don't have drama programs or they don't have a mentor of any kind. So, and that's what I love. Like our student body is made up of people from all areas of the country and all backgrounds. And are we as diverse as I'd like? Nope. But we're getting there and we're working on it. And I want, and I also really want, like, we tend to attract like really, what's the word I'm looking for? Like charming and just passionate kids. And that's what I'm looking for, is like someone who's, and a generally nice person. That's the icing on the cake. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure we're all probably looking for the same thing, but it's not one particular shape or size or color or height or vocal ability. If I'm accepting 12 to 15 per year, I'm not going to accept 5 blonde soprano, ingenues. I want to see who you are. And I can see that from what you choose for your dance portion of your pre-screen. I can see that in all kinds of areas. I can see that in your wild card, which this year I paid more attention to than I had in the past because, we didn't really get to meet them and spend as much time with them. So, yeah, I'm looking for you. That's it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, to wrap up, let's. I want to hear more about the Spring Awakening that's coming up. Is it live or is it going to be recorded? You said recorded,
both.
But are you also doing it live?
Yeah, we're gonna. So we're doing it, and it's funny because we chose Spring Awakening in the summer, and it's a show I've always wanted to do and haven't for various reasons. We were doing Legally Blonde when everything shut down. So going from a big, huge dance show, and I thought Spring Awakening would be nice to do because it's so fluid in terms of how you can approach it. It's not necessarily, everything's not based in realism. And so I knew that having to do it socially distanced, so we have to do it 6 feet apart. The university requires that. We have to be masked. But and I've heard Victoria Bussert talk about this, when, oh my God, who just Baldwin Wallace, when they did it, they did a recorded version of it. And I heard her, we all probably thought the same thing. Like, these kids are muzzled. They're not allowed to ask questions. They're not allowed to talk. So it actually kind of works with what's going on in that. So we're not trying to hide the fact that they have masks on. And so we have been able to be in person. We are doing a lot. It's being recorded. We go into tech next week. It's being recorded in April and professionally done, but it has been, I staged it and choreographed it for a proscenium theater. So we're not doing any, I'm not a filmmaker. And for those people who have done that and have learned that and taken those risks, like, kudos to them. But I decided to do it this way. In the back of my mind, I was hoping by April we would be able to have a real audience, a full audience, but of course we can't. But we are going to hopefully open up the performances after it's recorded. We're going to have like 3 performances for faculty, the students. So then we'll have some energy in there. So, but it will be the link will be available in late April. We're hoping.
And we'll find that on website, Facebook. Where would we find that link?
All those places. Yeah, if you want to, the University of Alabama Theater and Dance has a Facebook page that has a lot of things on it. You can also email me, and anyone listening, if you have any questions about the university or anything we've talked about today, I will call you. I will give you. Sometimes I'll give out my cell number. People can't believe that I do that, but I am here. I'm a resource. I know, it's like, in some ways it makes my life easier. I'm like, I'm just going to call you on my way, on my way home.
Yep.
But so I feel very fortunate to be in the theater and be creating. And I keep reminding these students that it's about the process. And we are so product driven sometimes. And I understand why. And that's something I struggled with this summer. And I finally realized, like, I am more than what I can produce. It makes me emotional just like thinking about it right now, but it really has been wonderful to just be in that environment and to be in class, masked and distanced, to be in the rehearsal studio, to be on stage has been the most normal that I have felt in a year. So, and I know that some people can't do that. And so I'm very grateful. And I think that the University of Alabama has handled all of these pandemic protocol and safety very, very well. So I feel very fortunate to have had somewhat of a normal semester or year. So.
And hopefully we're going to be out of this soon, because
yes,
can't take much more of it.
I
That's
know.
for sure.
I know.
We're so excited to be doing our summer program this year in person again, which we've just officially made that call recently. So it's going to look a little different, but we got to have some sense of normalcy back soon. So
yeah, I'm so glad that you get to do that. I mean, having gotten a little taste of it. What was that? A couple of years ago,
year before last.
It's very special that what you're doing. So thank you for that. Thank you for helping prepare these students to. I think you're preparing them to like enjoy the process a little more once it comes to it, because it will go by, and you'll be a senior in college before you realize it. So enjoy the process and enjoy all of this time, because it'll go by fast.
Yeah. I've said many, many times, if a kid comes to me and, they're not good enough to get into one of the bigger programs, I can't change that in a year. All I can do is make the process less stressful for you and match you up with the programs you're right for. Mm-hmm. But there's no magic wand that any college audition coach has. We can't, in the year that we have you, drastically change who you are. You're coming to us already having done all the work. We just make sure you're not pulling your hair out the whole time you're doing it, and that your parents can stay sane and sober throughout the process.
Right. I just want to say that, as I was the former president of the Musical Theater Educators Alliance, like, we all know each other. I mean, most of us know each other in these programs, and it's not a competition. There is the right school for anyone who has the talent and the potential and the drive to do it. And some of those small schools, some of the schools that you haven't heard about or that are not on all these lists, that might be the perfect place for you. So do your research, and you'll find it. You need to know in your heart and your gut if it's the right place for you. So talk to the students, talk to the faculty, go if you can. So yeah, I think it's important. So.
Well, Stacy, I hope you'll join us again this summer in Miami Beach for the conservatory for the last couple of days. That'd be really great.
I'd love to do that.
And I also hope that I can have you back for some workshops this year as we get back to normal too. You're always such a great person for my students to meet, and like I said, you're just so darn likable to all of them. So it'll be a pleasure to have you back whenever you're available.
That sounds amazing. I can't wait. I want to be back out among all the people.
Right?
So, yep.
So again, if anybody has any more questions about the University of Alabama, you can reach out to Stacy. Is your email address on the university's website?
It is.
Or do you want to give it now?
It is, okay. And it's SLAlley, like Slally, at ua.edu.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So reach out if you have any more questions. And thanks so much again for sitting down and chatting with me about your program today. And we'll hope to see you again real soon.
Of course. Thanks, Tim. Good luck, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Thank you.
For more information on the exciting training, workshops, and masterclasses offered by The College Audition, please visit us online at www.thecollegeaudition.com or follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and TikTok.